Good evening, everyone. Welcome back. Okay, so well, this is awkward. Bitcoin just it did what I wanted it to, kind of, but it also did something I didn't really want it to do, and well, it's not confirmed yet, but it's dangerously close. I didn't stream yesterday, which I mean there was nothing going on anyway, so I was busy, okay? I had something come up that I didn't remember that I had to go to, so I went. And then after that, oh, also we had a birthday celebration, which I either completely forgot about or, I mean, not really. I kind of knew. So yeah, that's part of the reason why I couldn't stream yesterday. Who cares? We're on it today. Nothing even happened yesterday. Flatlined as expected. But due to that flatlining, Bitcoin super trend kind of went up on the rise, and it leveled out about 93,000. Now, I was expecting a drop to anything below 92,000, so that means 91,000 or even 90,000, potentially even 89,000, which we could get to in just a minute here. So, that super trend, because Bitcoin's price is currently crashed just all of a sudden, 92,500 is the current price. That is now making it indicating that the super trend is potentially changing over to a bearish trend. Seems like that's how high we are going to go for the time being, at least. I don't know. And we did get this early signal from some of the altcoins, which we will be getting into. Altcoins in general having a big crash already. Bitcoin only stumbles 2%. God forbid you look at the charts of Aptos or Sui, they're dropping 10%. So reasons behind all this stuff, of course, is due to tariffs. Again, yeah, are they good? Are they not good? Supreme Court ruling expected to happen this week now. It was supposed to happen last week. But in the meantime, Trump is taking advantage of those tariffs to, while he still can, put them on to Iran, which we've talked about, and also on any other country that does not support the United States taking over Greenland. And the response is not nice either, so we'll be getting into all that in our news section, but it seems to be the main trigger as to why we are crashing currently. So, welcome, Dean and MN22. Do you see this support holding in this channel? And the futures brought it down. Yeah, I agree with that. Support level for now, I'm seeing at, I'd look at 90 to 91,000 still, so I'm still keeping that level in my mind. And I don't think we should be dropping too crazy. Like lowest, worst case scenario, I'd still look at this support level, 89,829. But I mean, if we do close this where we are right now, 2 hours, anything below whatever this would have been, 93,000, yeah, it's going to be a little difficult. But, I mean, we do still have this uptrend going on for the time being, longer term. And other than these tariffs, I don't see a real reason why we should be crashing either way. Potentially the market structure bill, but that's going to happen in 2 weeks' time. We're also expecting the rate cuts, also 2 weeks' time, or next week, I think it is. We're almost at the end of the month. So yeah, 2 weeks. And then the PCE data, etc. They could be negative factors, but I don't think they're going to be impacting the price of Bitcoin too much because a lot of it is already, you know, priced in the markets, right? So we shouldn't expect nothing too crazy when it comes to that. It's just general, you know, I agree with that. The futures markets opening in general, which we will be looking at as well, bringing the price a little lower. So what am I going to do? Can I please delete this? Thank you. So the downward movement happened. I will go ahead and DCA a position right over here. I won't put too much because I know this will continue going against me. So I'm dropping only 500 for now on Bitcoin. Right there where it is. Doesn't matter. I do expect to buy more. 91,352. If we drop below 90,000, I'll be putting in thousands. And consecutively, as long as we continue below that, I will continue to put thousands until we eventually find our footing. Next support levels, of course, if this does decide to continue dropping because Bitcoin likes to do that, or crypto in general, for absolutely no reason, sure, we could see levels like 86,000 and then 82,000 after losing 90,000. So watch out for those levels, is what I would say. Lower than 80,000, I really don't think we should be doing that. But hey, I'm glad to be proven wrong. No, not really. I hope I do not get proven wrong on that sense. So that's what we got so far. Rest of market, like I said, is crashing as well. And yes, BingX has leverage. You have spot trading and you also have for leverage. So I still treat my futures account as if it was a spot account either way, because I use 3x leverage, no more than that on these positions. Getting a lot of mixed signals for Ethereum, but this time it does seem also pretty definitive. Supertrend also rose to 3,200, and well, as we are currently about to head lower than that, 3,205 is the current price of Ethereum. That supertrend is also expected to head into a bearish trend, meaning that we should probably lose some upward movement. The only good news that I'm seeing is that we still have, like, in terms of an uptrend line, this does still exist. This one was respected from Ethereum. How far back do these positions go? Let me just go far back here. So from April 8 of last year, remember tariffs, to the low that happened in November for whatever reason, we respected that on the 18th of December. Can we respect it once more? It's looking like that level, as of this week, should approximate to 3,000. Can Ethereum hold above 3,000? I think it will, and I will be definitely entering more over here. Is it legal in the US? BingX leverage trading? I don't think it is. I don't think it is, no. BingX has restricted region in US, Canada. I use VPN to get around it, and I am also from Ecuador, so I use that identity. They do require KYC. If you don't want KYC, it's something that is legal in the US. You could probably use BitUnix. They do also offer leverage trading. Do your own research, of course, first, but my referral link is in the description if you would like. So there's that. That's my suggestion. BitUnix. Yeah. Okay, well, we're currently heading lower on Ethereum. That's nice. What can we expect for Ethereum? 3,100 and 3,000 itself. I'll be keeping an eye at those levels. We might, wick below that a little bit. That'll be my potential entry on Ethereum. I am going to wait on Ethereum because I don't want to be stuck buying a little too high. So that's what I'll do for now. Did not click that. Okay, whatever. Moving on from Ethereum. It's looking like it's going to be a red week so far. Solana, down 6%. So highest we hit was 148 last week, almost the 150 mark that I kind of predicted. And we are indeed going to be respecting this downtrend line and breaking this uptrend line. So expect some lower movements on Solana. How low? This one could be broken easily, so I wouldn't really rely on it too much. I'd look at 123 as a support for Solana. We currently are using the $130 support on Solana. Current price is $133.65. I won't enter that yet. I'm waiting for anything sub 123 for an entry on Solana. Yeah, no worries. Okay. Sui, 11% drop. Finally, we're getting some kind of a movement, even if it's toward the downside. So we use the support at 150. Why are we talking about $1 Sui still? Sui is doing worse than Aptos right now. Okay. Actually, no, that's normal. That's normal. Sui is supposed to be less than Aptos. We're fine. False alarm. Okay. Current price of Sui is 158. We also broke through a 160 support. And how much lower can we go? I don't like the looks of this at all. Why is the support 3 so far down at 132? I mean, yeah, sure, fair enough. 130 to 132. It seems to be the support level for Sui. It's unfortunate, man. It's really lacking. Slow mover. It's going to take a while for this to come back up. But yeah, for the time being, yes, downtrend confirmed. 187 resistance. Ignore the pivot. We did not approach $2 once again for Sui. So that's sad, but whatever. Entries on Sui. I do not think I will enter Sui. Not yet, at least. Very oversold even at these prices. I mean, if you want to do it on spot, now is a great time to accumulate, but for futures, which is what I'm trying to do here, I'm staying out of it. Monero still keeping its uptrend strong, actually, up 7%. It was 9% a minute ago. $611 is the price of Monero. Still keeping the uptrend, so anything above 550. It did wick below that, but we managed to recover quickly. 532 was our lowest just now. So where are we headed next? 730, and then 800 is the all-time high for Monero. These Facebook guys is a good project. Oh, I know, right? Could you see us breaking $4 this year for Sui? $4 this year, Sui. We hit $5 as an all-time high. 537. This resistance 446. This is where $4 is. I do think it's possible. I do think it's possible. And the reason why is because if we're looking at like weekly charts on Bitcoin as well, I mean, obviously 100,000 is the most important barrier to break first before we invalidate whatever downtrend we do have on Bitcoin, which is looking at 115,000. Will we have enough liquidity to push higher? I do think we will. I mean, commodities are still skyrocketing as we speak, and Bitcoin, crypto is the only thing lagging at this time. 115,000 Bitcoin can absolutely be broken this year. And if we're seeing that similar deal with Sui, well, Sui should be at $3 at that point. If Bitcoin does make an all-time high, you will see, of course, Sui at $4 or way past that, if we do see an all-time high on Bitcoin. So at some point this year, I do feel like that is probable. In the meantime here, what do we even have for Monero? Monero just holding strong. I love how it's showing a red super trend. We don't have them enough weekly data. Super trend is 10.3 on the weekly. That is what I do have. It's more faster reacting because it's a weekly chart. It's going to take longer. So in the 4-hour chart, I find 5.5 works better. As you see here, 5.5 super trend, because it's more in line with whatever, you know, uptrend lines that I draw, things like that. It makes more sense in my opinion. It's too reactive in the 4-hour chart. So I want better confirmation with that. So that's the difference I use between those two. Hyperliquid. What do you call this? Interesting how this support level from pivots also practically predicted that exact low on Hyperliquid. God bless whoever had a trigger order on that. It would not even have gotten filled by like 1 cent. But hey, close enough if you were, anyways, if you were paying attention. This all happened within the last 2 hours either way, so yeah, if you were there, God bless. But putting the uptrend at risk here, whatever excuse of an uptrend that we do have, yeah, Hyperliquid's either at a legendary entry price right now, $23.94. I did mention that anything sub 24 would have been a good entry. I don't know if I covered the super trend going on the rise. I probably didn't. So yeah, maybe. I really might. I'm feeling tempted to. Question is, will Bitcoin continue crashing though? That's the issue. I'll stay out of it for now though. I'll stay out of it until we get confirmed uptrend with Bitcoin. Either that means Bitcoin's still at 93,000 plus, then I'll, you know, consider my entries on Hyperliquid, even if that means leaving a few dollars above the table. I want confirmation rather than staying stuck in what seems to be a good price now would probably not be a good price in the future. We'll see. So I'll stay out of it for now. Chainlink ending its uptrend. There you go. So the correction downward, that was the kind of thing that I wanted to see first. But I mean, whatever we're getting right now, it seems like it's really too harsh of a correction. I don't even know if we should be taking advantage of these. Everything just decided to crash all of a sudden. My expectation was to move toward the upside. So like I said, either this is a legendary entry price or the trend is just going to flip and continue lower. It seems like that is the case right now, that the trend is going to continue lower, especially that, you know, we will be respecting this uptrend, this downtrend line, which comes from a longer time. This one has more history. This one's very recent. This one's likely to break. That being said, for Chainlink, current price $12.82. Support level is at 1260. 68. I want to avoid saying 67. And then $12 itself would be your next support line. Previous support from over here, around over here as well. So I'm going to delete all this stuff. The drop came a bit too late and a little too hard. I was hoping for a slower, more gradual drop a bit earlier on. So what I predicted was kind of correct, but it just came in a more abrupt way, more unexpected. Am I happy? Not really. I wanted it to be a more natural drop. This is not natural. Moving on to BitTensor. Okay, okay. So this is all gone, garbage. Yeah, we might change our trend all the way downward again. I'm looking at 206 as a good entry for now. Basically our local bottom, not all-time low, local bottom. This uptrend line is at risk. I would not even trust it. Do we even have downtrends? I think we do. Okay, I didn't mean to do that. Let me go to a weekly chart over here. Yeah, we do absolutely have downtrend lines. At least not recently, though. So I think we're looking for another support at 206. Anything above 200. If we do approach that, I might consider an entry because I do see good upside potential for BitTensor, which could make us rise to anything around 400 before we start, you know, meeting another barrier and start to head lower once again in the weekly chart, right? So we'll see for that. Aptos, let's move on. Nasty drop over here to 151. Similar movement to Sui, right? I was expecting a bounce. Nope. Well, same deal. Came a little too late. We actually had a good rise on Saturday for whatever reason. Total movement of 9% on a Saturday. Was that Saturday? That was Friday. Yeah, I mean, on Saturday, I saw that since Friday, we've been on the rise. That's what I saw. And now it's all gone. Forget any rise you saw. We're down 11%, and we're going to smile about it. Current price is 163, right above this support level. And then 153 also was the previous, was the next support level after that. So that's as low as we dropped for now. Lower than this, I'm looking at 140 and then 134, 135. Downtrend confirmed on Aptos. Not yet, but you know, you get the point. It does seem like we're about to enter one. And I don't even know. There is absolutely like other downtrend lines, like in the weekly chart, that I just have not bothered to draw. You've got a couple, so if you care, they're going to look like this. And this looks like right where we are right now. I'm going to go back to a 4-hour chart. Okay. Yeah, it seems about right. This is a weekly downtrend. So we were supposed to respect that one first before whatever excuse of an uptrend we were about to generate over here, which this is what the uptrend now looks like as it's broken. If within the next hour and a half, we do close at these prices of 164, anything below 167. 167 was an entry price that I really wanted, but well, now we're lower than that. What do you want to do? No, but we do have basically downtrends confirmed, meaning that we can expect prices to continue going lower. Negative funding rate, by the way, if you care. Okay. Great. We're already doing awesome on our Bitcoin position. Not really. But that was just a small entry I was doing there. I'm baiting the market. I'm making it seem like, look, I'm long. I'm expecting markets to rise. And then markets are going to go against me more. And then that's when I do the counterplay, like, aha, you fell into my trap. Now is when I buy more. And then the market just continues going lower on purpose, you know, because it's me versus the world at the end of the day. Anyways, we'll see how this play goes. Maybe it's too little. Maybe it's too little too late. I don't know. I do expect it to drop though. So I'm looking at 90,000 to go drop a bit more money in there. And then, of course, 86,000, 82,000. Depending on how bad this week is, I don't think it's going to be that bad, but we'll see. We'll still be prepared for those levels, of course. And we'll be covering all of that as time goes by. That's all I really think. We're 20 minutes in. Let's move on into our news section. Why market is dropping? Because of aliens. As crazy as that sound, yes, this is a real story. Not specifically related to crypto, but the Bank of England. They have urged people to prepare for a financial crisis if the United States, so a completely separate entity, confirms the existence of alien life, which I'm pretty sure we have done at some point already, right? We've had the Senate alien hearings, remember that? It's happened a couple times, and they're basically like, yep, yeah, you know, there's absolutely aliens, and yeah, that's about it. So it's a lot of it is just like first-hand account reports of like interactions with these aliens, but I don't think a lot of people really believe it, so whatever. A former senior analyst warned confirmation of alien life could trigger market panic and bank collapses. Are you sure you're not using that as an excuse for, you know, your banks? So here's more about it. Bank of England told to prepare for a market crash if the US announces alien life. The person responsible for this belief is Helen McCaw. She served as a senior analyst in financial security at the UK central banks, and she's the one that sounded the alarm. So you have people like this serving in the UK central bank, but then I can't get a bank job. Like, come on. She is now written to Andrew Bailey, the bank's governor, urging him to organize contingencies for the possibility that the White House may confirm that we are not alone in the universe. Okay. Moving on. I'm sure nobody would really care if there is actually aliens, but here's another post about it. The global financial system is preparing for aliens. It's not a meme. So that Helen McCaw lady formally warned the governor about what she calls an ontological shock the moment the public realizes reality itself is not what they were told. Her warning is brutal. Aliens wouldn't cause the panic. The announcement would. The instant confirmation drops, trust collapses, markets spiral, banks face runs, the bank runs, payment system freeze, supply chains break, shortages follow, and social order starts cracking before people even understand what was said. Dude, if aliens, like, were to actually exist and, you know, all this stuff happens, the government collapses, trust collapses, bank runs, you're just going to have some guy make a alien meme coin on Solana and everybody's going to get rich off of that. It's that simple. They're not going to stop crypto. What are they going to do? She predicts panic-driven volatility, cascading bank failures, breakdowns in payments, and unrest driven by fear and scarcity. I'm sure gold will benefit. One sentence from the government, one confirmation, and financial chaos is at machine speed. McCaw, a Cambridge graduate, is now working in wealth management bases. Oh, she bases her warning on recent US official statements and declassifications suggesting non-human intelligence behind United Aerial Phenomenas. She says preparation is required even if the probability is low, because the consequences would be historic and irreversible. If aliens are impossible, why is a major newspaper printing this, and why is the global financial system quietly preparing for the announcement? Like I said, I think it's going to be an excuse. Oh, we're doing a bad job as a bank because aliens, that's why. Like, we're running out of stuff to blame at this point. So that's the alien stuff. Pretty funny. Little fun topic to start off the show. What else do we have? Well, in Alberta, apparently there have been massive amounts of Albertans forming huge lineups in the freezing cold, by the way. It's really cold. To sign a petition to secede from Canada and potentially become the 51st state after gaining independence. The 51st state thing is debated. It's mainly about gaining independence. Alberta is the most conservative Canadian province, and an election could be held soon for secession. Yeah, could work. And if it does become the 51st state, I've mentioned this many times, Canada's map is going to look so ugly because it's looked like it's missing a front tooth or something without Alberta, with Alberta belonging to the US. And little by little, I mean, United States would eventually just take over Canada as a whole. Yeah, here's the community note about, it's not a petition to become the 51st state, it's for independence only. And then as an independent country, if we actually manage to do that, then, you know, you have the option of becoming the 51st state and you will make Donald very happy. People want to have Donald Trump as their president. At least the conservatives in Alberta do. Not in Ontario. Speaking of Ontario, Doug Ford, the premier, well, he brought this upon himself. We kind of talked about his response to what Carney has been doing with the Chinese partnerships, bringing in all those Teslas, electric vehicles, basically to compete with our markets. And are they even that good? We're seeing a lot of battery fires, and a lot of people that I know, they do not like electric vehicles whatsoever. And this whole, you know, Canada being part of all this other European mumbo jumbo about protecting the environment, climate change, all that kind of stuff. Going green, changing to electric vehicles over gas vehicles. This is the same guy that used a whole plane to fly to China, by the way. But anyways, that's besides the point. Doug Ford, yeah, he did kind of screw over Poilievre, the same guy in his party, to become prime minister. Instead, he became more friends with Mark Carney, the Liberals, him being a conservative, and, well, ultimately Carney did get elected. They were BFFs. So how does Carney repay Doug Ford for his loyalty? He makes a deal with China to destroy his auto industry, and he doesn't even bother to tell him in advance. Indeed, that is cold. What else do we got in Canada? A federal firearm buyback program. It will be opening Monday with March 31st deadline to register. No? Yeah, I don't know. I think I disagree with that. Right? People are going to get guns illegally either way. You might as well have a gun to protect yourself. Right? As long as you don't commit any mass shootings. I don't know, dude. As long as we don't live in Brampton, we're fine. Okay, moving on. President Trump is becoming increasingly critical of Canada in private conversations with his aides, allegedly, in regard to what he calls Canada's vulnerability to adversaries such as China and Russia in the Arctic. Similar reasons that the president has given for his demand to acquire Greenland, officials have told the NBC News, which we'll get into Greenland in a second. Yeah, it is getting to that point, because Canada getting this partnership with China, it's a huge middle finger to the United States, and I don't think they're just going to sit there with their arms crossed. They're absolutely going to do something in regards to this, potentially after annexing Greenland. If they are successful in doing that, who's going to stop them from doing that to Canada? Our economy is already bad. He can worsen it somehow. And then, yeah, we'll be the 51st state. Although I disagree with calling it 51st state. If we're actually going to do 51st state, first of all, that would be Greenland, because it's first come, first serve. And then, because we have 10 provinces, 3 territories, just make them all into states. That's 13. That would be, don't make me do math, 65 states in total in the United States. And then we go for Venezuela, and then Mexico, and Colombia, and Panama, and Cuba, and Puerto Rico. Just take over the whole continent at this point. Just don't touch Ecuador and below. And then we're good. We're good. All right. So, moving on to Greenland. What was the population again? 55,000 or something? It's already in my search history. Yeah, 56 to 57,000. 7,000 people. Not all of them, of course, but a big chunk of them are already out on the winter streets protesting for Trump not to take over. Okay. After Trump's threats to take over the territory, there were protests that erupt in Nuuk, Greenland. Is that a real place, dude? On Saturday, Trump announced he was imposing new tariffs until a deal on Greenland was made. Denmark, Norway, Sweden, France, Germany, and the UK, the Netherlands, and Finland, they have journeyed to Greenland for purposes unknown, Trump said. This is a very dangerous situation for the safety, security, and survival of our planet, Trump added, as he explained his new 10 and 25% tariffs, which we'll be talking about. This tariff will be due and payable until such time as a deal is reached for the complete and total purchase of Greenland, which is only going to cost $700 billion. That's free, in my opinion. That's Elon Musk net worth. We're already $35 trillion in debt, or maybe more. Who cares about another trillion? That's fine. Are we going to be hated when traveling to the 60th state? That's so funny. Also, by the time like we do annex all of Canada, it's a lot of liberals over here, especially in Ontario, maybe even in Quebec. I don't know. Would Quebec even want to join America? I mean, they're going to get bought out, and that would imbalance the vote unless they make us not count our vote in federal elections. I don't know, but I mean, if we're in between states, they're just going to move to different states where you would be allowed to vote, I guess. I don't know. I don't know how they're going to do this. Might be shooting themselves in their own foot, but we'll see. Why acquisition of Greenland is good? Scott Besson explains this. Denmark has terrible history with Greenland. There was forced sterilization until the 80s and 90s, apparently. I don't know what they mean by that. Are we talking about genocide? This is what it sounds like. All of a sudden, now that the US expressed an interest, there is this new interest from them. Okay. Europe does not care about Greenland or have the capability to defend it. Only America does. And that is true. If Russia was about to start invading Greenland, let's just say, who is going to defend that? Europe is not going to do much to resist it. I'm sure they'll send the troops. I mean, they have already done that. A whopping 15 German troops and 2 British troops, 1 French troop, and 1... I don't know. You get the point, right? They're not really going to be able to successfully defend Greenland from any attack from Russia or China. And I can say with full confidence that I'm sure that the US would be able to successfully defend Greenland from any foreign invasion. So it seems right, in my opinion, that Greenland gets annexed, bought by the US. We'll see, though. And it's not like much is going to change for the Greenlandish people. What do you even call it? Growish? What do you call people from Greenland? Greenlanders. That's cringe. Yeah, it's not like their lives are going to change. They'll be better off, actually. They'll have military protection, and they'll be considered Americans. Isn't that cool? And then Canada will be completely surrounded with a missing tooth of Alberta and Quebec separatists. And then we'll just get taken over by the United States either way. So it's a win-win. So this is the tariffs that were imposed by Trump already taking effect. A 10% tariff on the following countries. And this is because they disagree with the United States taking over Greenland. Thank Christ Almighty, Canada is not on this list, although Canada did express interest in putting troops on Greenland to defend it against the US. So maybe we're up next, I don't know. But here are the countries. 10% tariff on France, Finland, Norway, Sweden, Denmark, Germany, Netherlands, and the UK. And they're not happy about that. And the tariffs will increase on June 1st if a deal to acquire Greenland is not reached. Will Trump chicken out of this one? Who knows? But we're expecting a counter response of it. So far, it seems like Germany is kind of like, what do you call it? Hanging up the jersey, giving up their position, I guess, on defending Greenland, because January 16, we got the 15 soldiers from Germany. January 17, Trump puts the additional tariffs on Germany, and then, well, today, January 18, it seems like they're leaving Greenland. So, hey, that's pretty cool, though. You got a nice little trip to Greenland if you're a German soldier. One of the 15 or however many it was. And that was the most. The other countries only sent like 1 or 2 troops. That's it. So this week is important for that reason. Stocks and crypto are about to face one of the most dangerous combination of news we've seen in months. So there's 2 huge events that are hitting at the same time. The new tariffs on basically all of Europe, and a Supreme Court ruling on the tariffs, which was delayed, and now it's a thing again. Okay, fine. 1 week later, I don't understand why delaying it for a week was important. Maybe it's for Trump to be able to do this. Both land together when the markets reopen. This is a recipe for extreme volatility. Over the weekend, Trump announced a fresh 10% tariff on the EU. This is the first major tariff escalation in almost 3 months. Last time we got a big tariff shock on October 10, We had a big dump from the S&P 500, even though it was after the fact, and crypto saw the biggest crash in 5 years, which I lost money and you lost money. So, yeah. It's not small news, as these EU tariffs threaten trade flows worth nearly 1.5 trillion, and here's why it could get worse. There is now serious talk that Europe would retaliate if the EU starts building trade deals with countries that the US is also sanctioning. The US risks being pushed out of key trade routes. That would be bearish for the stocks, bearish for the dollar, and bearish for global risk sentiment. Hey, there's no crypto being talked about here. This should be bullish for crypto if it's bearish for the dollar, am I right? But no, crypto will also get sold off. I mean, look at the effect it's having on it right now as we speak. Doesn't really matter. We're going to suffer nonetheless. Now, add the second bomb. On Tuesday, the Supreme Court is expected to rule on whether Trump's tariffs are legally valid. They've already delayed it twice, once in December, once last week, but now a ruling is expected. This time it will be different. This time we'll actually get a result. Right? We won't get delayed again. Markets currently believe there's a strong chance that the court rules against him, and people believe that is bullish. To which I would say, yeah, short term, you'd be right. There's no more tariffs that can be widely imposed by Trump anymore. So we don't have to worry about the headline that we just read where 10% tariff on all those countries. That's not going to happen if the Supreme Court deems those tariffs invalid. I think that will be bad long term because that means no dividend check, if that's even going to be a thing. No $2,000. You have to pay back $200 billion as a country to all the countries that you've already collected tariffs on. And a lot of investment would no longer be in the United States that were there initially because the tariffs were set. They're going to be like, oh, no more tariffs? Okay, we'll move back to India to keep making iPhones over there instead of the United States. Or, I don't know, cars or vehicles, car parts, anything. We're going to go back to our factories in China, in Taiwan, and wherever it's cheaper to make these, instead of everything built in America. Jobs numbers would crash because there's no more opportunities. All these countries are leaving now. Investment is leaving the United States. Would be bad for it overall. And of course, the United States will not be generating any tariff revenue, so say goodbye to any income tax cuts. I don't know. So I think it's going to be a bad thing long term, of course. But short term, I mean, we're greedy. We only care about the short term. So, it's literally talking about all of this right over here. I'm just saying this off the top of my head. So, creates two dangerous paths. If they rule against Trump, it means his tariffs are legally weak. It breaks confidence in political stability. The stock market has been rallying on tariff optimism, and that optimism could collapse fast, and a violent sell-off becomes likely. So that's bad either way then? I thought it was going to be good. If they rule in favor of Trump, the markets must fully price the damage of the EU tariffs. Trade disruption becomes real, growth risk increases, and stocks and crypto will still face heavy pressure. Yeah, so it's a lose-lose situation. The only good thing that comes out of it is you're not going to get the tariff headline every once in a while. So both are bad for risk assets. Okay, there you go. Confirmed. We're in a down week. That's going to be bad. So it's dangerous. Markets are walking into a major tariff shock and a legal ruling that can change policy credibility, and you need to be prepared for some insane volatility. Maybe. I'm still of the people that believe tariffs have nothing to do with crypto. There is no tariffs on Bitcoin. And, I mean, I'm assuming gold and silver are on the rise. So why shouldn't crypto be on the rise? Just because you can touch gold? Yeah, look at that. Gold can rise, but crypto can suffer. Silver is making new all-time highs. I'm just going to blindly assume that and be proven right in like 2 seconds. There you go. New all-time high. $94 on silver. So which is it, right? Doesn't even matter. Crypto's going to suffer is what it seems like. I understand the actual reason, of course, is because we've got a lot of the Wall Street investors in crypto. they look at that as more of a risky asset compared to something they believe is safe, like gold and silver. That's why they would rather sell the risky thing, the crypto, the fake imaginary internet money, and buy something tangible, something you can hold, the gold, the silver, in times of financial crisis. Because what are you going to do? Hold the US dollar? That's going to weaken, which should benefit, of course, gold, because you measure that against that. And then, of course, anything else that is risky gets sold off regardless, so crypto and stocks. That's the story. European Union, here's their response. Seems like they will suspend the trade deal with the US following Trump's tariff threats. Please don't do this to us, von der Leyen. The EU is preparing tariffs worth 93 billion euros and possible restrictions on US companies' access to the European market in response to Trump's threats regarding Greenland. So instead of just saying, you know what, Trump, yes, you can have Greenland, they're going to put up a big fight like, no, you're not allowed to take Greenland because screw your national security and screw your Nvidia stock and your cryptos. So we're going to suffer nonetheless. These measures are intended to exert pressure ahead of negotiations with the US president at the World Economic Forum in Davos. Is this happening? When is this happening? January 19 to 23. Oh, that's literally tomorrow. Okay, well, there you go. Do we really trust anybody from the World Economic Forum? Who's that guy? Charles Schwab? Do we really trust that old man? Come on. Anyways. So we already got the futures market opening. Here it is. They opened for the first time since President Trump announced the 10% tariffs on 8 European countries, demanding the acquisition of Greenland. The S&P 500 dropping 0.7%, NASDAQ dropping 1%. Of course, the biggest hit is the tech sector. Dow Jones, 0.5%. Gold is up 1%. Silver is up 3%. It will indeed be an interesting week. Buy the dip moment? Maybe. That was a good time, right? I wonder if we got like one of those headlines, oh, I don't know, $2 billion just got liquidated of longs in the past 24 hours because of this news. We'll see though. But it seems like Trump will not back down this time from tariffs, and I hope not, because we hate the taco effect, the Trump always chickens out effect, where he announces the tariffs and then the next day he's like, you know what, actually I was a bit too harsh, I'm gonna walk it back a little bit. My brother in Christ. He's referring to himself as Mr. Tariff, as the Tariff King. He said he was also going to be suing JP Morgan Chase over the next 2 weeks for incorrectly and inappropriately debanking him after January 6. He's also announced the Greenland-related tariffs on 8 countries, which we talked about. What's the holiday weekend? What did we just celebrate? Let me pull out my calendar here. Literally nothing, right? There's nothing to celebrate in January. Other than my cousin's birthday. New Year's Day. Okay, that doesn't count. Epiphany. And Martin Luther King Jr. Day. That's tomorrow. We still celebrate that? Okay, cool. Well, it's MLK Day tomorrow. I guess that's why. US President Trump on Iran and Khamenei. Let's go. Let's move on to Iran now. Trump's been saying it's time to look for new leadership in Iran. The man is a sick man who should run his country properly and stop killing people. Also saying his country is the worst place to live anywhere in the world because of poor leadership. What he is guilty of as the leader of a country is the complete destruction of the country and the use of violence at levels never seen before. Seems like we really want regime change in Iran. Maybe the attack happens this week as well, just to, you know, put the cherry on the ice cream. With all this tariff stuff in the Supreme Court and all that, and the PCE data. I don't think PCE is going to be that important in light of all these events, right? Khamenei clapped back, saying that we find the President of the United States is guilty due to the casualties, damages, and slander he has inflicted upon the Iranian nation. Sorry, man, I really don't think anyone is buying that. Regime change in Iran might happen, like for real. And Jack Dorsey, remember that little bit chat app that he created. It seemed like it was the most useless thing, the most laughable thing. Like, why are we even making this? It's cool you can send Bitcoin through Bluetooth or something like that. But this actually has a use case in the Iranian protests. Because BitChat, you don't need Wi-Fi, you don't need mobile data, or even a working government. Because in Iran, the government already cut all that stuff. You can't use cellular data, you cannot use your Wi-Fi. People are relying on Starlink and stuff like that. But if they installed BitChat beforehand, or if they use Starlink to install BitChat, I guess, you can send messages to each other's phones using Bluetooth. No towers, no servers, no kill switch. And you can also send Bitcoin. I'm pretty sure you can send Bitcoin, right? And you send Bitcoin through BitChat. BitChat. Yeah, you can. Exactly. So that could also replace payment systems. If, you know, your Iranian currency is worthless, right? What are you going to do? Carry gold around? You're not going to do that. In times of crisis, as long as you can charge your phone, I guess, yeah, crypto would be the solution, right? It's ideal for places like Iran, where regimes love blackouts and protesters need a way to talk when the internet suddenly disappears. And it's good because you don't even need a login, you don't need a SIM card, no surveillance. It's all decentralized. And that's the beauty of it. This guy's onto something. W. Jack Dorsey. Rare W. What else do we also have? This Senate Banking Committee Market Structure Bill, whatever it is. We already heard Brian Armstrong's thoughts on the whole thing, CEO of Coinbase. He was saying stuff like, well, this kind of sucks, and I'd rather have no market structure bill than have one that really sucks. So get it together, fellas. Make a better bill, and then you'll get my stamp of approval, and then we can vote on it. That's why it was kind of delayed to end of month January so far. At least that's what it said on AI last time we checked. So Ripple CEO now, Brad Garlinghouse, gives his thoughts on it, and he's kind of the opposite. He's saying, well, clarity is always better than chaos. The bill isn't perfect, but it's way better than nothing. We're so close and we can't give up now. So he kind of wants it to come out. Suspicious, maybe. But no, he's saying, hey, something's better than nothing, while Brian Armstrong, they're both Brian's, right? No, Brad, sorry. Brad is from CEO of Ripple, and Brian's CEO of Coinbase. Coinbase guy was saying, well, no, this sucks. I'd rather have nothing than this garbage. But Brad says, no, I'd rather have something rather than nothing. So which is it? Seems like the White House, though, is getting a little impatient with it all. They're considering pulling their support for the crypto market structure bill entirely if Coinbase does not come back to the table with a yield agreement that satisfies the banks and gets everyone to a deal. The White House is said to be furious with Coinbase's unilateral action on Wednesday, which it apparently was not notified of in advance, calling it a rug pull against the White House and the rest of the industry. The White House does not believe that one company speaks for the entire industry. This is President Trump's bill at the end of the day, not Brian Armstrong's, says this anonymous source. Okay. I mean, that kind of is true. Coinbase is kind of at fault for that bill not getting signed. But if it's to make crypto better, then maybe that's a good thing. I don't know. I'm not there. I'm not going to vote on it. My vote does not count. I do not get a say. So why should I care? I only care if my cryptos go up. Steak and Shake, they've always been bullish on Bitcoin. They bought $10 million worth of Bitcoin for its strategic reserve. I don't know if that happened immediately or over time. Okay. Is that smart? Yes. Of course, Grok is going to say, oh, it's too risky, it's volatile. Investing in Bitcoin can be smart for diversification as an inflation hedge, given its historical growth. However, it's volatile. Oh yeah, crazy. Prices dropped 20+% multiple times last year. Faces regulatory risks. They're a crypto-friendly strategy of buying Bitcoin, but success depends on market trends and the risk tolerance. Okay, pal. They'll do fine. Unlike this guy, Who even is this guy? The chief strategist of Jefferies, his name is Chris Wood. He used to be a Bitcoin bull. Well, he has now dumped Bitcoin and instead bought gold because he's scared of quantum computing. Oh, brother, come on. Quantum computing in 2026 is crazy. He removed Bitcoin from his portfolio and shifted to gold. He believes quantum computing could eventually crack cryptographic keys used to secure Bitcoin. Like, that's ever going to happen. We don't got to worry about it now, and I think we'll have a good solution for it eventually when the time does come. Worry about it later is my opinion on it. And I guess this takes us to our last bit of news. Yeah, pretty much. We did hear talks about, well, rumors about Elon about to sue Sam Altman and OpenAI. And it actually happened now. So there you go. Elon Musk is seeping up to $134 billion in damages from OpenAI in a newly filed lawsuit. That's a good amount. That's what I like to see. Elon's legal team argues that his early funding for OpenAI and the involvement materially contributed to OpenAI's rise, which is now valued at $500 billion plus. The early funding contributed to the rise, which is now valued at $500 billion plus. So the lawsuit says OpenAI has become a for-profit company, entitling Musk to compensation tied to the value created from his early contributions. Because if you don't know, yes, they did work on the project together, then they separated. Elon did his own thing with XAI, and Sam Altman continued with OpenAI. And now they hate each other. Musk helped found OpenAI in 2015. He donated approximately $38 million in early funding. When asked about the lawsuit, Elon responded, "I've lost a few battles over the years, but I've never lost a war." Ooh. Oh, that's something you should write in your new book. Buckle up for a historic lawsuit. Let's go. This would be pretty funny, though. OpenAI talked about, "We're sharing facts about our relationship with Elon Musk, and we intend to move to dismiss all of his claims," is what their response has been so far on Twitter's where they posted this. Elon Musk said, "Hey, you should change your name to Closed AI, and I will drop the lawsuit." Why? Okay. Closed AI. Sure, cool, funny. Nice one, Elon. I don't think they're going to rebrand to Closed AI. They could, though, and Elon would have to stay true to his word and drop the lawsuit. That'd be interesting. Sam Altman is commenting also on this, saying, "I wish Elon Musk would just compete by building a better product." So he's calling him, saying this is a skill issue. We have the better AI. Probably his whole life is from a position of insecurity. I feel for the guy. I don't think he's like a happy person. Okay, he's like 5 times richer than you. Relax, pal. Relax. And I think, I do think Grok is better than ChatGPT, I think. I'd say so. I do find myself using Grok more. But I don't know, that's just personal preference, honestly. When it comes to crypto, I look up stuff with DeepSeek, for example. When it comes to, like, literally basic tasks like, hey, write me an email, I'll use ChatGPT. But then when it comes to, like, actual geopolitical topics, maybe even crypto sometimes too, or maybe coding, sometimes I like to do coding, then I'll use Grok for that. And then for like refactoring my coding or different ideas of coding, I'll use Claude. But ChatGPT sucks for coding. It'll give you a good idea on how to do it, but it's like, it doesn't do exactly what I want it to do, kind of. I don't know. It's strange. I do prefer Grok, of course, for coding. It's helped me a lot in other projects that I've done. Little projects that'll never see the light of day. That's fine, though. It's all on my GitHub if you care. Sam Altman also posted this. Kind of like a, haha, gotcha. You're cherry picking things to make Greg look bad. But the full story is that Elon is pushing for a new structure, and Greg and Ilya spent a lot of time trying to figure out if they could meet his demands. Who are those people? I do not know. From Elon Musk's court filing, Musk insisted that any new entity support the nonprofit's mission and that OpenAI remain, quote, essentially a philanthropic endeavor. But what actually the full quote was is Elon saying this: coming weeks top priority. Got to figure out how do we transition from nonprofit to something which is essentially philanthropic endeavor and is B Corp or C Corp or something. Must tell the story and not lose moral high ground. Absolutely vital. I don't know, little stuff like this. Sam Altman says, I remembered a lot of this, but here is a part I had forgotten. Elon said he wanted to accumulate $80 billion for self-sustaining city on Mars, and that he needed and deserved majority equity. He said that he needed full control since he'd been burned by not having it in the past. And when we discussed succession, he surprised us by talking about his children controlling AGI. What? I appreciate people saying what they want to and think it enables people to resolve things or not, but Elon saying he wants the above is important context for Greg trying to figure out what he wants. I have no clue what they're talking about. This is some high school drama stuff, dude. Get out of here. Ursula von der Leyen is trending. Why? What is she doing? That's not it. That's not it. That's not it. Okay, that's enough. Thank you guys so much for watching. What do we do? This is going to be a crazy week. I could expect more downside, honestly. I do see that happening after going through all this. So, from here, it's 90,000 Bitcoin, of course. Obvious psychological level, support level, uptrend line. That gets broken, you're dropping to 86,000. I'm hoping, believing we do not drop lower than that, because if we do drop to the next level, that's going to be 82,000, and God save you if you want to draw an uptrend line from 80,000 to 82,000 in the span of 2 months. So, yeah, it's going to be difficult. However, not surprising nonetheless, even if we go lower than that, break 80,000, head lower. Hey, maybe that poly market thing would reopen. Will Bitcoin hit 66,000 this year? I might go ahead and bet on that again. What are the odds of it again? I made good money with it. I say good money. I made $30 with it. Okay, who cares? I'm not even logged in. Who cares? Will Bitcoin hit in 2026? It was this level over here, 65,000. I voted no on that. Bitcoin's price rose, and then I took my profit on it. Now it's at 52%. I'll keep this in mind. I'll keep this on stream record so that I know for next time. I don't think we're dropping to 65,000 ever, based off of my own analysis, seeing that, you know, price of Bitcoin has never gone below election day price, right? At that time, 2024 elections, price of Bitcoin was 66,000. Trump gets elected and we moon to 100,000, right? In the next couple of weeks after that. So that should mean, hypothetically, Bitcoin does not drop lower than 65,000. Can we see 75,000? Sure. 65,000, that's out of the question. There's way too many people that are in it right now, and nothing catastrophic enough would make a sell-off that large, in my opinion. Unless, like, BlackRock sells off, Satoshi sells off, and Michael Saylor sells off, and so does the United States government. Then I'll give you permission to drop below 65,000. Go on a free fall, you know, go crazy. Even if all those people do dump, you're only dropping Bitcoin's price by probably 10,000, honestly speaking. I actually wonder how much Bitcoin's price would drop. Doing this mathematically, of course. So we know Satoshi himself has 1 million Bitcoins. Am I banned from using the calculator app or what? There we go. 1 million Bitcoins. Michael Saylor has 650,000. BlackRock has 600,000, I think. America has 300,000. We're going to exclude Venezuela for now. We're going to pretend that the Venezuelan Bitcoin does not exist and it was all a figment of our imagination and speculation. That means there is 2,550,000 Bitcoins that could be sold off if all these guys sold off at the same time right now. How much market cap is that? Let me copy this number. 92,555.69. Sure, that's the price of Bitcoin currently. This is $236 billion that will be taken out of the 1,849,000,000. I'm doing the math wrong. I did it all wrong. Okay, let me do this again. 1,849,121,197,999 minus the, what was the number? This number. The $236 billion. Okay, it's not gonna... Alright, thank you. Thank you for being... Whatever, dude. Let's do this again. 1,849,498,750, 200 minus the 236 billion. Okay, now you want to show history. Go enter. This is now a 1,600,000 Bitcoin market cap. If there is 19,970,000 Bitcoins in circulation, that means the new price of Bitcoin would go from 92,000 to 80,000. There you go. Like I predicted, about $10,000 drop. And yes, it will cause a mass panic and everybody else will sell off. Let's just say we get another... How much money does the world have? $1 billion? Like the average retail trader between you and me. Yeah, it's not going to change much. It's going to be about 80,000. If all these guys just suddenly dumped on spot. And that's not going to happen because they're not connected or linked at all. Should I sell for $1.40 profit? No, I'm going to keep it there. I'll accept the $500 entry at 92,000. I need to have something. Okay, I sold my spot Bitcoin at 93,000. Saw the price go lower to 80... What was this low? 84,000? It was this low over here. 84,000. Didn't rebuy because we were in a downtrend at the time. And then when we started spiking up again, I saw Bitcoin at 90,000. I'm like, come on, give me something 80,000. We did see that. I did buy. I took some profit already around over here. A bit too early. Been buying, been selling. Barely any profit over here. Missed the big rise. Who cares? Now we're on the way down again. Now's my chance to re-enter. Anything below 93,000, I'm content with entering. At least 3,000. I have my spot position back basically without. 3,000 times 3x leverage is $9,000. So that's what I would be happy with. And of course, I would be much happier with continuing to buy DCA as price continues going lower, because I do expect this thing to eventually be back on the rise. Look how close we were to 100,000. It's not out of the question. Look how much money is flowing in and out of gold and silver right now. It's enough to duplicate, triplicate the price of Bitcoin. No problem. No questions asked. Not that it is going to happen because the money exists. There obviously has to be a reason for that to happen. But the fact that it's just Bitcoin, I think that's a good enough reason. Come on now. Cycle breaking stuff, sure. Everything is cycle breaking at this point. We did not follow the 4-year cycle. The year ended in the red last year. Even if it was barely in the red, still red. We did not get a euphoria phase, no super cycle, no alt season. Surely something is different this time. So that's my thoughts on it all. Okay. That'll be end of stream today. Tomorrow, we'll continue to look at what happens, how markets react, how they price everything in, and maybe what benefits, of course, from it all. It seems like it's only commodities so far. Tuesday, I won't be here. Wednesday, economic data will be covered, and Supreme Court tariff ruling, whenever that is. Yeah, so a lot of good stuff to pay attention to this week, or maybe bad stuff. That'll be all for tonight, guys. Thanks so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed.